Thunderstorms outside. Something going on. Hi YouTube, it's your girl Me-Anie here. Haven't seen you guys in a while. Gonna try to do quite a few videos today, but the video that I'm doing right now has to do with my apartment situation. It's all over. It's all over finally. And so let's get into it. In case you missed any of the other videos, I basically was sued. I was sued, you guys. I was sued by my landlord for $4,600 and some change for not paying my rent for 6 months. Now, shortly after I came, relocated, I left Philly like the end of July 30th. I left Philly and started working and living my new life in Florida. So I'm in Florida now. And I am, I'm here and I'm like, okay, I'm being sued. I'm being sued for not paying rent. And the reason I was not paying rent is because the place was inhabitable. Now, I'm trying to look at the camera more because I'm really bad with that. I always look away like this and that. And I don't know if it's a little annoying to you guys. So the Thursday after I first got here, I actually had to go back to Philly because I had the pleasure of being sued.
Yes. You're nothing until you're sued. I'm telling you, I'm the shit right now because I was sued. Yes.
I prepared myself for this, knowing that I was going to be sued. I knew that this, everything had to come to an end. I knew it all had to come to an end. But from my point of view, I didn't know what I had to do to end it. Because I'm the one that's not paying him rent. Like, what do I sue him for? Do I take him to court so he can't sue me? So it was good that I was being sued so I can go and defend myself and not, hopefully not have to pay him any money or just have it over with, whatever the case is. So, I got myself prepared. I got some notarized letters done. I had my pictures, I had all this information, like pictures and videos and conversations on I want to say 3 or 4 different devices. I had on my iPad, my iPod, my Flip, my phone, my computer. So I took the time to put it all into a nice folder and just have it ready for, if the judge said, let me see your lease. Got my lease. Let me see your violations. Got my violations. Everything is nice and neat. So I get everything together. I go to Philly, which was a hassle. Now, let me tell you guys, when something is about to happen, there's always so much that goes on that try to break you down. And all these obstacles get in the way. But it's up to you. It's up to you to keep going. If you want to see the results, it's up to you to keep going. I think that's where most of us fall off. This is turned into a whole nother video. Stay on track. So I'm going to do another video talking about staying on track. And it's going to lead into the law of attraction and all that other good stuff. But back to the landlord situation.
My flight was supposed to be from 8:55. It took maybe an hour and a half to get there. Ended up being canceled. First it was delayed. I put myself on a standby flight. That didn't work out. So I went back and found out it was canceled. And I'm at the desk what do I do right now? What can I possibly do? Because there's no question about it. I need to get to Philly. I went ahead and I called the court. I let them know okay, I'm in North Carolina right now. My flight was just canceled. I'm going to be there. No matter what it takes, I'm going to be there. So just please do not throw out my doc number. Do not throw out my doc number. So I had to go. I was flying with U.S. Air. I had to go all the way across the parking lot to buy a whole new ticket to get to Philly. I bought 2 tickets to get to Philly so I can, be there for the court date. I get to Philly, go pick up my rental. Couldn't even get my rental car because my card was saying decline. The one card, I don't know what I was thinking giving her that because I just bought 2 tickets and reserved a car and all this other stuff on the one ticket. So, on the one card. So, that's definitely decline. All my money was wrapped up and going on that card. And that was my bank card. And then my other card, or maybe I had a flip-flop. My other card, that swipe, and that got denied. I'm what is going on? So, come to find out that the hotel I was staying at the Marriott in Raleigh, they were taking off $25 a day from my card. And for incidentals, who does that? $25 a day? I was so pissed. $25 a day for 2 weeks. That's $300 of my personal money that you're messing with.
I got to the courthouse. We're in a conflict resolution room. It's myself, the young lady from the 3rd floor, and another guy that was there, another gentleman that rented one of his other apartments. And the funniest thing is, he just decided to take all of us to court on the same date, which was, to me, stupid for him. Because if you have all these people that you're bringing to court for the same reason, non-payment of rent, and the reason that they're not paying you rent is because of the conditions of the apartment, like, that's not going to reflect it on you. Like, so number one, you're stupid for that. I thought that was, like, very, very stupid for him. And then the fact that his lawyer didn't, like, you know, recommend that he did it differently was kind of like, okay, you guys are dumb. So when I get there, I'm calling the girl like, oh my God, did you guys start yet? Like, I'm late. I was almost like an hour late for court, but good thing, like, we were all scheduled at the same time. So there was no way possible that we were all going to be seen at 12:45. I think everyone in that room was scheduled for 12:45. So I was probably like the last person to be seen. I don't know if it's because I got there last or whatever, but she was being sued for 3,000. I was being sued for 4,600. I don't know what the other guy was being sued for, but some way somehow she had to pay like $600, $800 to them because she didn't pay her rent for the 4 months. So she ended up paying like $600, $800. The guy that was there, I don't know what happened to him. All I know is that they gave him 30 days to vacate. That's what he asked for. And then they still had to come up with some kind of number or whatever. So my turn comes around, and my turn comes around. I go up to, the desk, and the lawyer is there. This little rinky-dink lawyer. But let me say this. The landlord didn't even show up for court. Not that he didn't show up, but his property manager did. And when I saw that it was the property manager, my girlfriend texted me like, "Oh, girl, guess who it is? Guess who's here?" I was like, "Who?" She said, she was like, "Jay's here." I was like, "Jay as in the property manager?" I was like, "Oh God, I'm gonna tear his ass apart." Like, I think I did everything but foamed at the mouth when I found out that it was the property manager. Not that if it was a landlord, I was going to tear him apart. But the property manager is so timid. Like, he does not know what he's doing. And he shouldn't even be a property manager. And find out why. It's his son. It's his son that's the property manager. He doesn't have a degree. Not saying you need a degree to be a property manager. I don't know if you do. I don't think you do. But you need common knowledge of renting an apartment, what the law requires, the stuff that you can go through, the stuff you have to protect yourself from, what you're protecting your tenants from, all that stuff you need basic knowledge of. You need that knowledge to be a property manager, at least in my little bubble of common sense. That's what I believe should take place. So we're in there, and I'm talking to the guy. I go up to the table. He's like, "Okay, Miss Hope, so I see that you left on the 8th of August. I was like, "Oh no, I just submitted." I did not leave on the 8th of August. I left on the 30th of July, which was the end of one month. I did not go into another month. He was like, "Okay, doesn't matter." And I said, "Oh, you're a little snazzy, you a little razzle-dazzle, aren't you?" So he starts saying, "Well, I see you owed February, March, April, May, June, July. You didn't pay those months in rent. That's what I have here." I was like, "That's correct. I did not pay those months in rent. 6 months, right? I didn't pay those months, no." So he said, "Well, what are we going to do to resolve this?" I said, "Nothing. I'm not going to do anything." He was like, "Why?" I was like, "I'm not paying any rent because I've been there for 6 months. Elle and I came out and did an inspection initially in January. And in January, they saw that, they cited everything. They gave him the notice. They let him know what was wrong. And he didn't do anything to fix it within that first month. So from there, they went on and deemed the apartment inhabitable. So after they deemed the apartment inhabitable, as a landlord, you have 6 months to repair what's in that property. You have 6 months to repair all that stuff and get the re-inspections done. He had re-inspections. He had 6 months. 2 re-inspections that were done, he failed. He did not pass them because the stuff was not fixed. And on top of that, he didn't have a renter's license the entire time I was there. He's like, "Do you have documentation with the violations?" I said, "Sure do." And I whipped out my little book. I had all my stuff in a binder. I whipped out the binder, first page, and I showed him. I was like, "Here it goes right here. This is from Illinois." And I showed him all the violations. So he asked me to read them off to him. I read off all the violations. I was like, no stove for 7 months, a leak in the kitchen, a leak in the closet, a leak in the bathroom, like all this stuff. No fire code inspection turned in. Didn't have a license, backyard filthy, rodents, all this stuff. I read them all off to him. So he was like, okay, I have them. I said, so I'm not willing to do anything. But you know what? What I will do for Mr. Watson is I will let him he can keep the last month's rent, and he can keep the last month's 1 month security that I gave to him when I first moved in, and it's done with. I'm not doing anything else for him. I'm not paying him. So he said, okay, let me see what I can do. So he had to go into the back and call Mr. Watson because his son couldn't do anything. He had no juice. He had no juice. He couldn't do anything. So he had to go call Mr. Watson. This man was in the back for all but, he was back there for like less than a minute. And he came back out and he said, okay, Miss Hope, then we're all done. I was like, excuse me? He was like, we're all done. We'll settle with that. I was like, cool. So he's not getting anything. He can keep the last month's rent, and that's it. He said, yeah. I was like, so this isn't going to come back up and haunt me like later down the line when he decides that he wants to try to get this money again. He said, no. So they printed out the paperwork. And I made sure I asked the guy again. He read it off to me. He said, this paperwork that I'm going to read to you, I'm going to need you to sign at the end. Just make sure you understand it before you sign. If you have any questions, ask me prior to signing because it is a legal binding contract. So he basically explained everything to me, saying that I'm absolved of any past rent due. And I waive my right to sue him, like to counter sue him. He waives his right to sue me, and I allow him to keep the last month's rent and 1 month security. And I said, yes, that's fine. Honestly, and people, like, when I told my friends about this, they were like, girl, you should get that money back, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, after the day I had, like, this alone is a victory in itself, because I just, like, bought 2 tickets to get here. Like, rushed downtown, all, like, everything. I was physically drained. I was physically drained from doing everything that I did. That the victory of me just knowing that I wasn't going to have to give him back 6 months rent was just enough for me. Like I said from the beginning, when I spoke to him in the letter, I told him I'm not a greedy person. I do not expect to live anywhere rent-free. I don't expect that at all. But at the same time, I'm not going to pay full rent for a place that is inhabitable. And if you think I am, you're just as crazy. You're freaking nuts. And if we can't come to some kind of resolution, that's what the courts are there for. And that's what my letter said. And that's when he called me up like, oh, no, I want all my money, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, then we'll just go to court because it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So, and I honestly, I spoke for less than 2 minutes and won my case like that. I really do think that once I said my piece and I told him, like, he had all these violations and he didn't have a renter's license, he stopped right after that. He went to the back room. I honestly believe the conversation that he had with his client at that time, the landlord, I think he told him, like, okay, you know what? She has all this paperwork. You didn't even have a license. If you go before a judge with this, you're probably going to end up owing her money. Like, I honestly believe that's what happened, because all the other deliberations, like when they went in the back, it took longer. He was back there for like less than a minute. But everyone else, they were going back and forth, and they didn't have the proper documentation. They probably didn't have the proper documentation. So that's why they were going back and forth, and he was trying to nickel and dime them. But it wasn't going to happen with me. Once I said nothing, they didn't ask me nothing but, okay, well, what about this? What about that? That's what they did with the other 2 people. Well, the other lady, the other girl from upstairs. That's what they did with the other girl from upstairs, but they didn't throw any figures at me because I was firm. I was firm in what I believed was going to happen. And the way I felt, like, I was just so pissed off about not missing my flight, but my flight being delayed. Like, I was just like, not today. Not today. It's not happening. So I won my case. Yay!